college admissions has really, it's very cyclical, and I've been in it long enough that I've seen lots of different cycles. And it really depends on the cohort, that is the population of students who are 17 years old, 17 to 22-year-old. The vast majority of college students are still that traditional age population. However, recently we've had a lot of veterans coming back to college. We've had adults going back to college. So the population is changing a little bit. But if we just look at those traditionally aged students, admissions is quite cyclical. When I worked back in the late 80s, early 90s was when there were fewer students of that age. And actually the colleges were scrambling to get students to apply and to enroll the right size freshman class. And there were times when the students very much had many more options and could sort of demand, if you will, certain privileges as part of their enrollment.
Let's see, when I was applying to colleges, I don't know if I want to tell you the year, but it was a while ago. We didn't have a college counselor like you have at Bullis. We had a guidance counselor who gave you a little bit of help, but you were pretty much on your own. I picked 6 schools I was interested in, and I went and visited those 6 schools. I mostly was interested in schools in Ohio because it was quiet, and I grew up during the time of the summer riots in Washington, and so I wanted to be away from a city and in the middle of nowhere and just focus on my studies. And I interviewed with somebody in the admissions office, which I don't think you can do today in all schools. There's so many kids applying to schools. And then we waited. We just submitted our applications. You wrote an essay. Can't remember what that essay was today. But I was very excited when that letter came in April, and it was a big, thick packet, and I knew I'd gotten into Kenyon. Everything was done in the mail. So there wasn't any internet at that point. You wrote away to the school. I don't even know you could call them because it would have been a big long distance call. And so I wrote to the school and they sent me their catalog. And every school had a separate application. There was no such thing as a common app. So we had to fill out the papers 6 times, which would have precluded me from doing the 12 to 15 that a lot of kids might be doing today. And then you put them off in the mail and hope that they got there on time and you received everything through the mail. So that would be a big difference from today. There was no online to look at.
It's not something that families planned around. You know, you might visit a campus or two, but it was not like it is today where you have to sort of strategize of when you can visit and how many to apply to. And that was in the late 70s, okay? But if you look back from the mid-60s even to the beginning of the 70s, it used to be that you might show up on a college campus, talk to the admissions person, they shake your hand and your dad's hand and you're in. It was very much what you used to call gentleman's agreement, good old boy sort of network. I was actually talking to a parent last night at the basketball game who said that when she was in high school, the University of Maryland came to her high school, the director of admission, and basically you just had to get a printout of your transcript, show them your transcript, and they would sign and say you're in. So, you know, there were no test scores, there were no essays, there was nothing. You just sort of showed them that you were a decent student and you were in. So that's how very much times have changed. And then with the advent of online admissions, more and more colleges went to that, and they would waive the application fee for any student who was willing to apply with an online application because it saved them prep work. Now, it is rare that we have a student who applies with a paper application because, you know, that is not what the colleges are used to, and they tend to take longer and could get lost. And now Bullis has gone to submitting all of our documents online, so no more paper transcripts or forms that we're filling out and checking off by hand. We just simply, with the push of a button, go into the Naviance, our online program, and send the students transcript, school profile, the letters of recommendation, and the cover recommendation forms, and it just goes with the push of a button. So it really has become much more computerized. I think it's easier. I think students find it easier to type things online. And the Common App is now accepted by 488 colleges, so it saves a lot of time.
I have noticed a big change in college admissions over those years. It has become much more competitive for students to be admitted to many of the highly selective colleges. I think students are applying to a lot more schools, especially using the Common Application. The Common App makes it easier for students to apply to a lot more schools. So the more applications colleges are receiving, the more selective they can be in terms of who they are admitting. So over the years, I've seen, number one, an increase in applications from our own students. We have students who will apply up to 20 colleges, which seems a little excessive to me. And students are concerned that they won't get in anywhere, and I think that's part of the problem right now.
Then we begin to ask you about college. Some of you already know you're sick to death of the size of Bullis and you want a bigger college. So you're going to start circling 10,000 and above. Other of you know that you really thrive in a small class environment. So you're going to put, I want 1,000 to 5,000. I don't know anybody who's ever put under 1,000. That's small, but it's there. Then you can begin to tell us where you want to go to college. When the population grew again, it switched back to the colleges being the ones who are dictating the process. And right now, since I've been here for 7 years, I think almost every year has gotten more and more competitive. And part of that is that our student population tends to apply to the same maybe 100, 150 colleges, and the Common App has made it easier to apply to more colleges. So it's not that overall the state of admissions in the nation has changed so dramatically, but it's the fact that those particular colleges have changed. So we had even Harvard going from maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they were admitting 30% of their applications, where today they're admitting 5%. So most of the Ivy Leagues are admitting under 10% or around 10%. And other competitive small liberal arts schools are admitting 10, 12, 18%. So clearly they've got the upper hand in the process right now. And it is difficult for students because with that low admission rate, you have to really distinguish yourself in some fashion. You have to be bringing something very unique to their campus in order to stand out, because about 95% of the applicants to those colleges are academically qualified and could be successful, but they have to decide what it is they're looking for. So that's what's making it hard for our students right now.
It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me like an heaven on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being.
So to find colleges for musical theater, I basically started off with Naviance, like how most people do. But I also talked to different sources like Mr. Strunk, Mr. Johnson, and other people who are in theater who would know stuff. Actually, a lot of the colleges that we found besides NYU, my mom found because of unified auditions. For musical theater programs, you have to do auditions to get into the program. You have to first be accepted into the school, but then you also have to do an audition oftentimes on campus, or you can send a video. Unified auditions are when multiple schools about 20 or 30 schools go to one place so people can audition for all of them. So we found about 3 different schools for me through Unified Auditions, though I didn't go to them myself. So to start the college process, after finding those, we worked quickly to get in my applications before school started, because you have to have your dates, you have to have the forms sent in before you can get your audition dates. For most programs, because it is musical theater, you have to have, for your audition, 2 songs, about 32 bars in length, so you usually won't get to do the entire song, but you have 2 prepared, so one should be up-tempo, so not slow, but you should have an up-tempo and a ballad. And with each one, they're looking for how you sound, but also acting while you're singing, because that's part of it. You sing and act at the same time, and it's usually in a class setting, so they'll do warm-ups and stretches and whatnot, see what you can do, and then you'll go in groups and you'll do the combination in front of the people who are auditioning you, and they'll see what you do well, what you need work on, and they're looking at potential, not just skill. So they look at you holistically. If you're a singer first and your acting is okay, but you're not much of a dancer, they'll take that in consideration, just like how if you're a mega dancer and you act a bit and sing some. So they look for balance and variety.
So for the art colleges or the university has like an art department, the most important part that you turn in is your portfolio, obviously. For your portfolio, you can either turn in digitally or you can either mail them. And for the digital portion of portfolio, you'll either turn in 12 to 20. Depends on how much college asks for you. After you turning your portfolio in, some of the colleges require you to write like your artist statement about like what kind of artists you're influenced by and what motivates your work, and yeah, that's pretty much it. And other colleges that are like really competitive in terms of like getting in, they require you to do like a home test. It's like another supplement part of your portfolio, which means they give you like a prompt. My prompt for RISI, for example, was draw a bicycle and interpret a phrase inside and outside. You have to address the prompt and then just painting a drawing in paper, and then you have to physically mail them to them. So that's like a part of the art college process, and because there's a lot of supplement, the art, when you're applying to art schools, the deadline is usually, you have to kind of work through like February even to March, so it's like a long process compared to other colleges.
Athletics is another part of many students' college counseling process, and it adds what I just call another layer to the process. It can make the process much easier, or it can really complicate things. So first of all, there are Division I athletes, which that's the highly competitive league, and those colleges are able to offer scholarship money for students based upon their athletic ability.
Basically, it starts out was we play on like travel teams. Where I play basketball, Connor plays baseball, and we play on these travel teams during the spring and the summer. And coaches will come out and watch us, and they'll contact us, and they'll bring us to their schools for visits, and then that's how we find out which schools we want to apply to and send our stuff to, which would be our choices to go play basketball or baseball there.
I actually did a little different thing. I did the travel team, but I also did this thing called Baseball Factory. And what it is, it's like a showcase where you get videotaped, and I play second base and pitcher, so I got videotaped at second base and videotaped that pitcher. And then I pretty much got a recruiter. The recruiter assigned me for free because I'm just a monster. I'm just kidding. But for real, the recruiter helped me out a lot. He really did a lot. He sent out like 170 videos to colleges, and from those 170 videos, I got a ton of emails from coaches like, we're really interested in you. Come out and like look at us, and if you want to hear back from us or you want to come to our school, just email us back. So recruiters definitely help you out a crap ton in the college process. I will give Baseball Factory a lot of credit for my college selection.
It's like all scholarship in baseball sometimes doesn't give all scholarship.
Yeah,
It's not like a product sport.
1,400. 1,400.
You just said 140.
170 schools. We sent it to 170 schools.
Yeah, I'm talking about 840 schools.
That's basketball.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking.
My God. Okay. Pretty much. What college coaches do is they mark your like Common App, or they mark like your what is it called?
All right, I'll start off. Okay. So basically, what happens is what you first have to do is you have to send in your grades, and you have to take the SAT or the ACT, and you have to clear this thing called the NCAA Clearinghouse, which is like it takes your grades and it has like a certain like baseline where you have to be better than that to clear the clearinghouse to be allowed to play sports in college, and that's basically how it starts out. And then you send those to coaches and stuff, and then basically you just do the normal application to the school, and usually there might be like a checkbox where you select like you're going to play an athletic sport for that school or something like that.
Yeah. Also with that, sometimes if you're getting really good with the coaches, they will mark your Common App, and so when it goes through the process, the people in the admissions office will see that your Common App is marked, either for athletics or any reason. Like it's like almost like a recommendation for that school, and it's pretty much saying like if you have a higher rate of acceptance going into that college, pretty much.
How many of you have had a real SAT or ACT at this point? Nick has. James? Okay. You know, many of us in our profession talk about the different variables that make a student successful in college, and those are perseverance and you know, stick-to-itiveness and ability to bounce back from setbacks and ability to self-advocate, many other things. And those are not at all measured by a 4-hour test on a Saturday morning, standardized test.
Okay, a lot of colleges over the years have decided to seriously think about the use of standardized tests, meaning SAT and ACT, as it relates to the college selection process. A lot of colleges have changed their philosophy in how they admit students, believing that it is the student's high school transcript that plays the most important role in making a decision if a student is what they call college ready. Can they come in as a freshman and be successful? Right now, I believe there are over 800 colleges that are considered to be test optional, which means that students do not have to submit their SAT or ACT scores as part of the application process.
Personally, I am very glad that more colleges are becoming score optional, because I see that the standardized tests are really no longer standardized. That is, many people spend thousands of dollars to get test prep help. Students are starting test prep in 9th grade. They're getting coaching, they're getting individual tutors, and some students simply can't afford that or don't have the time to do that or don't believe in it. And so the inequity of the preparation for the tests is great. I mean, it really is no longer standardized. It has become almost a socioeconomic factor. But until all colleges, or the vast majority of colleges, stop relying upon the standardized tests, we're still going to have to continue to help our students take those tests and do as well as they can.